writing. It is a skill, which is good because you can learn a skill. I like things that I can learn. So what you'll find as you go through the different module levels, if you start at level 4 and work your way up, level 5, level 6, you will be developing your academic writing skills, maybe not even realizing you're doing it, but it is something that you can develop and get better at. So this section is all about how can you earn Uber marks for doing as little writing as possible by making sure you write in a way that is the way we expect you to write as an academic. Okay, so that's what this is about. This is all about gaining lots of marks for not writing very much. We like that. Okay, so I want you to think about, if you see your newsreader, the 10 o'clock news, we have the 10 o'clock news in the UK, but if you have your newsreader giving you the news, he or she will start with the headlines. So we have Big Ben bonging at 10 o'clock, bong, headline, okay? You might not have that where you are, but they'll give you a load of headlines of the top line, you know, a couple of sentences about the top news for the day. So if you're in America, it will be Trump's taxes written about by New York Times, and they'll give you the headline for the day. Then they will go in, after they've done the headlines, they will go into one of the stories and they will bring in some people who've got an opinion. So they'll bring in one person. So we've got Boris Johnson as our Prime Minister. Boris Johnson's made an announcement, and they'll bring in a voice, somebody who's got something to say about whatever it is that Boris has said. They will then bring in someone else who's got something else to say. So you might have someone who agrees with what he said and someone who doesn't, and then they'll have a little bit of a bun fight. Okay, they'll argue about it and they'll put their points of view across. Okay, and then at the end, the newsreader will summarize the story, whatever it is. That basically is what academic writing is all about. It's about giving a headline, bringing in voices, having a little bit of an argument, and then summarizing at the end. So how do we do that? First of all, start with a headline. Okay, introduce the subject of your argument you want to make as a statement. If possible, so thinking about your theorist, you might have references of people who have also made this point. So Hackman 2002 said ... Okay, so you introduce your headline, your argument. Tick 1 mark already, just for giving me your headline. That's a sentence, maybe 2 sentences at most, a headline. Then you bring in supporting evidence. This is your voice coming in, who will provide further support from academic sources, and they're adding meat to the bone. So your headline is like a skinny bone, and you want to give some filling to that, add some meat to that, so that you can back up whatever argument you've already put. So you add to what's already been said, maybe by bringing in a different voice or adding a bit more information. Okay, tick. 2nd mark already. You've only written 3-4 sentences. Fantastic. Then you bring in the critique. So as an academic, you're actually an objective observer. So that means you need to bring in both sides of the argument. You need to bring in this person and that person to have a little bit of an argument. So you need to find the person who says the opposite of what you've already just said. And you might say that this argument assumes, or it claims that, or it could be asserted. So you might bring in another theorist who says, well, Hackman says this, but Belbin says that. But you might just go, well, so-and-so said Hackman says this, but that argument that they're making assumes this is happening or that is happening. Okay, so it's important that you show the other side, the opposing argument, to show that you've considered both sides of the argument. So you put your point, the point of view, the argument that you're putting in, one point of view, and then you bring in the other point of view. And that shows that you've got some supporting evidence to show you've thought about this from both sides. Tick, possibly 2 ticks for that. Okay, so you've already got up to at least 3 marks, possibly even 4. Then you bring in your counter critique. Well, it's saying, yes, but. Okay, well, we said that, you said that, but in support of our first argument, or it strengthens the second argument, it's the however. Nevertheless, nonetheless, despite, although, however, here's some more information that I can give you that supports the argument or supports the critique of the argument. Okay, so it's more evidence. It's more evidence that you know what you're talking about. And then finally, you end with a critical judgment. So based on everything that you've just written, headline, evidence, critique, counter critique, based on that, what's the point that you're making? What's your summary of all those arguments? It could be argued that, ... 5 marks. Now that's a paragraph, 150 words. You can write an argument like that in 150 words, possibly less if you're very succinct and it's not a very long argument. Okay, so when we start talking about word count, if you've got 600 words, 20-mark question, you need 4 arguments and 4 of this kind of structure in your answer. Okay, so just to go through again: headline, what's the argument you're making? Supporting evidence, who else has said what you're saying? Who said something different to what you're saying? The critique. Who said something else? The counter critique. And then, so what? So what does that mean? What's the argument that you're making? It's a very simple structure, but if you stick to that structure in very few words, a paragraph, you can get at least 5 marks just by doing one of each of those things in 150 words, 15 words for each sentence. Yeah.